Like and subscribe to my channel or I will cry. You don't want me to cry. Serious, what secret could ruin your life? That until a week ago I was a heroin user. I'd lose my kid, my family, my job, everything. Finally just finished the worst of the detox. Here's to keeping on keeping on. I don't think I'll ever tell them, even though I'm currently clean and have no desire to go back. Frick, is it hard to go through it completely alone. Edit. Thanks all for the support. It means a lot. Second edit. Figured I'd update y'all. Over second weekend. Doing freaking fantastic. I barely even think about it anymore. Keeping myself busy with work. Third edit. It's been a month since I first posted this. I'm still sober. Life is awesome. I love my new job and newfound social life. Met a pretty rad chick. Life is freaking good. Fourth edit. The 18th of July 2017. At 80 days sober. Life is amazing. I really appreciate you all for continuing to check in. I've told my family, they are supportive and want to see this through. Ex was just arrested on felony possession charges. This was absolutely a blessing I got out of there when I did. Thankfully she is in rehab. Fifth edit. Over 100 days in and doing awesome. Even under a lot of stress. Hurt my back again. Not bad, but enough to jit scene. All will be well in a week. I straight out refused any opiate they were willingly throwing at me. It was so freaking hard, but I can't risk it. It's too soon. Sixth update. Just shy of 180 days and still going strong. So many of you check in with me on a frequent basis. I appreciate it so much. My life is amazing. Please, if you know an addict, ask if they are okay and listen. It changes things immensely to know that someone cares. If anyone needs to talk or needs helps, please feel free to contact me at any time. You are not alone. Update the 29th of January 2018. I'm assuming this thread was cross-posted to a new thread because I have folks reaching out all day. Thank you all for reaching out. Means a lot. Yes, I'm still sober. I'm coming on a year now without sliding back. Life is awesome, and while I can't say I don't still think about it, I've made no attempt to seek it out, nor do I want to. If you are thinking about quitting opiates and need advice or just want some information, feel free to PM me. You can do it. Life is so much better without it. Final edit 04/22/2018 sober officially a year. Frick yes. I know it's a ridiculous thing to celebrate, but here I am, and life is amazing. If anyone needs help, reach out, even to me. I'll do whatever I can to get you there. It can be done on your own. Appreciate all of the support. This isn't really something that would ruin my life, but it is something I've held on to for some time. In 2013, it was my first semester of college. I had this anthropology class, tribal and ethnic religions, at 8:30 in the morning. I'm not exactly a morning person, and this girl I sat next to wasn't either. It was one of those things where we just saw each other and knew we were both absolute freaking zombies still. We had this unspoken bond of, no one else will understand how much we want sleep, so let's just stay with each other the rest of the semester. And we stayed pretty true to that. Even got pretty close. I mean, we'd spend 3 hours with each other in class every day, 3 days a week. It would often be 4 if we got food afterwards, so it's understandable that we got close. But we were both super religious and thought every form of attraction was some kind of sin. So as close as we got, we were always super awkward with each other. When we got an assignment, got an assignment to go, do interviews and all, it felt natural to go with each other and just help out. So we got mine done pretty early in the semester, relatively speaking, but hers took a bit more planning. We had to drive about 2 hours out to this mountain city where her grandpa lived to talk to him. I didn't drive at the time, so we took her car. There was about 3 months worth of sexual tension built up between us, so the drive was kind of uncomfortable, but we kind of skirted around our feelings towards each other for the first time. Once the interview was completed, we had dinner in a small pub and started heading back. It was about dusk, and both of us said that we wanted to wander into the forest for a bit. Just take in the atmosphere for a while, you know? So we parked off the side of the road, went down into the trees. It was beautiful. We lived in the desert, where most of the vegetation we were used to was scraggly bush at most, a few palm trees here and there. But this was amazing. No sound from the city, no smog from the cars, just people, trees, and silence. She ended up brushing up against me to get past some roots, but in a way that felt almost deliberate. So I tested it back, brushing up against her at times, where I didn't necessarily need to. We finally decided to say frick it to all our fears of damnation and just decided to have fun. I wasn't a virgin at that point, but I made a lot of really dumb decisions up to that moment, which was why I was as religious as I was. She was a virgin, despite being a few years older than me. So at the time it was a very deep emotional bond we made. I don't really care for the idea of virginity anymore, it just isn't important to me. But there was that feeling that it would last forever, that we would always be each other's, and whatnot. When we'd finished, and had our collective walk of shame to her car, obviously it was awkward. Just driving back home was awkward for pretty much the opposite reason as when we were headed up in the first place. But the silence gave me a lot of time to think. I decided that I was just gonna tell her exactly how I felt. I know, in hindsight, I don't know why I didn't to begin with, but I was fresh 18 and always kinda bad with people. But I didn't have the nerves to do it then. It was Friday, I'd see her again on Monday, and that would be my moment. Monday came, and I was super excited, dressed better than I normally do, all of it. But she didn't show. We usually didn't question when the other person didn't show, so I didn't think much of it. She missed the whole week, and I started getting concerned. Tried texting and calling her, but no replies. She missed a second week, and that Friday I asked the teacher. Turns out, he just got the news himself, and was going to tell the class before he began the lecture anyway. The Sunday after our forest escapade, she was killed. A car accident. For a while, I didn't react. I didn't believe it. I didn't know anything about her family outside of her grandpa, so I used what I could to find her family. I met her brother kind of sporadically as I showed up at his work. He could see that I was pretty shaken as I spoke, and I could see that he was getting kind of agitated, so we decided to wait until his shift was over and we'd talk. He told me about how happy she was the days before. How she'd been super depressed, but for just a little, while she was getting out of her room more, getting along with her parents, and just felt more fun to be around. Then he told me about how someone was driving drunk, going 60 in a business area, hit her from behind, and wrapped her car around a tree. That was what did it. That was the moment that I really felt the impact. For days I couldn't sew anything. I didn't want to do anything. I failed all but one class that semester. My entire life was basically falling apart. Through all of it, I never really told my parents, friends, or anyone. They just knew I was in a pretty bad place, but not why. I've had a few attempts at relationship saints, but it was hard for me to not feel guilty whenever I got close to someone, because part of me was still in love with her. I got rid of my belief in God and his plan, because how could I justify her senseless death at the hands of some other a-hole in a cosmic plan? She died teaching that guy the importance of responsibility? No, frick that. Since then, I've met someone else who's helped me get past my attachment to Marissa. I've been pretty open about what baggage I've brought, as she was about hers. Now that I think about it, I met her right around the time all of this was happening. I've gotten a lot more comfortable with my existential awareness too, I guess. So I'm in a much healthier place overall. Okay, I'm starting to get ramble more than I have been throughout all of this, so maybe this will make for a good place to stop. TL. Dr. First Love died suddenly, spent 3 years getting over it, finally over it. Edit. Sorry I haven't been replying to the people who sent good wishes my way. I'm on mobile and the app refuses to take me to the actual replies for some reason. Maybe I'm just missing some really simple feature. Anyway, thank you everyone for your kindness. A friend of mine I used to hang out with, Chase, told me a bad secret during our sophomore year of high school. We were good friends and smoked together, but we came from a bad neighborhood. Anyways, one day at school, I watch his back when he sells a gram of weed to this guy Terrence, bully senior, wheeler hole, kinda chunky but played football the year before and was built. As we're walking away, Chase just keeps going on and on about how much of a prick that guy was. After school we both put our money together from ourselves to buy another rounds. As we're smoking he tells me he needs to tell me something. He says that Terrence guy tried upping his sister at a park, but stopped after she started screaming, who at the time was in 8th grade. Chase tells me how Terrence wanted to buy some weed after school, but didn't have enough for a gram. This was after his sister told him what happened. So he said he'd give it to him for free if he stole a few cans of Four Locos, which was really easy back in the day. After, Chase said he acted like he was really happy about it and smoked him out for free and then gave him a blunt to take home. He told me that when he rolled it earlier he laced it with heroin for Terrence and has been lacing all the weed he sold him with heroin he gets from his uncle, who knew what he was doing and basically turned Terrence to a junkie. Told me he's been doing it every day for weeks and been charging him double since Terrence doesn't know anyone else to buy off of. That he's even been to his house and got to take some of his shoes, TV, Xbox, iPod, basically everything a teen would want in exchange for more, and also to pay off debts. We weren't some buffer kids or anything, but our families were heavily gang affiliated, and most people knew that. He then tells me he didn't sell him any weed earlier that day, but gave him a bit of H I asked him for free. He said, "Nah, I had the idiot steal me some jerseys from Foot Locker, and I sold them for like $200 at the flea market and started laughing. I did my fair share of fricked up shit throughout high school, but I felt really weird about that. I didn't say anything, because I was a gang member at the time, so I didn't feel like I had a right to judge. I never told anyone. We grew apart after that. I moved away from my hometown a year later, but I hear that Terrence has been in and out of rehab/jail and struggling out. Pretty much homeless when he's out. Chase's sister is going to prom in a week. Edit, misspellings." 15 years ago, between jobs, I took a short-term gig helping a large gay porn company, assisting them resolving some performance issues on their website. It was supposed to be only 2 weeks. That was 15 years ago. No one in my extended family knows that I work in gay porn, let alone know that I'm in charge of everything except video production. I was sexually assaulted by my parents' neighbors, a father and son. The son was in his teens, I was 8. They used to put me in this walk-in closet and have showtime. I never realized what was happening until several years after we had moved from my grandmother's house in Phoenix to Houston. Fast forward 20 years goes by, and I have a daughter of my own. She's 4 and we decided to visit grandma in good old Valley of the Sun. We get there, and a few days pass, and one day my daughter's outside with her older cousins playing. I step outside to check on her, and I'm greeted with that same freaking neighbor's son holding my daughter giving her raspberries, while his dad is playing with the other's cousins. Something clicked. More like a twitch in my mind, something tipped me just a nudge. But it started something. I walked outside, grabbed my daughter, and corralled the kids, and made my presence known. That tipping point sent me into a emotional spiral of brooding thoughts. In white collar, I make my money off of thinking. I'd never say this to real life human, nor will I ever give the details of how I did it. But several months after our visit with grandma, my wife thought I had another work training, when in fact I came back to Phoenix. I burned their home to the ground. Everything was lost except for the master bedroom and walk-in closet. P.S. A well-placed anonymous tip does amazing things to frick up someone's life. They both survived, unfortunately. I swear to God I've hoped I've done enough good in my life to earn at least one wish. That would be to meet those low-life maggot creepers in hell and be their eternal tormentor. I look at my daughter every day and know she gave me the strength I needed as an adult I didn't have as a child. This won't ruin me, because I've already went no contact with my mom, but it still hurts, and is a big secret I've not told anyone. When I was a kid, I had asthma pretty bad. So, I'd be up all night, coughing constantly. My mom and I lived with her parents. We shared a room, so I slept in her bed often, when I was a toddler. Mom would come home from work, and lay down for bed, but I'd keep her awake with my coughing. Sometimes at night I'd be coughing, and she would hug me, so tight that I couldn't breathe. It would really distress me that I couldn't breathe, but I knew mom loved me so much, and I didn't want to tell her she was literally squeezing me to death, because I was afraid of hurting her feelings. So I'd just tell her that I loved her so much, and she would cry pretty hard after that. Took me years, after having my own kid, and treating him gently, to figure out that it's actually pretty difficult to squeeze a kid so hard that they couldn't breathe. Mom is bipolar and has had other incidents of hurting people and abandoning those in her care that need medication and can't take care of themselves. So, I finally put it together and figured out mom would be so agitated with my asthma that she would try to stop me from coughing by squeezing me almost to death. And then she would cry out of guilt when I told her I loved her. When I was about 5 years old, my sister, 2 years old, and I were in the backyard in a kiddie pool when my mom went inside. I attempted to drown my sister. After I saw her lifeless, I realized that it was a big mistake, pulled her out of the pool, and called for my mom. Luckily she knew CPR, and she was life-flighted to the hospital. My mom thanked me for saving her, pulling her out of the pool. Next week was my birthday. The police, firefighters, paramedics came to my house to give me gifts and celebrate my birthday. To this day, 20 years later, I still think about it. I remember the day so vividly. Not a soul knows the real truth.